Welcome to Getting to Know Unreal's editor. In this video we're going to look why changes to the start scene aren't tracked in our source control, be arranging a simple set of windows to work with, we'll be moving around in the 3D viewport, setting up our start map and committing our work so that we feel comfortable using simple 3D manipulations and saving our work. So, see you in there. So now we've got our first opportunity to actually play around inside the Unreal Editor. Bear in mind we're in something called the minimal default level here, minimal default, okay? And remember that you can go to settings and then project settings and maps and modes, and it will show you that that minimum default is in the starter content. Now remember we ignored starter content because it's a large amount of data. So any changes we make in here, for instance, if I click on the chair and get the translate tool, which you can access with the W key if it doesn't come up for you, and move it up, if I now save all, from File, Save All, and go and have a look at my source control, I'll actually see that nothing has changed. And the reason that nothing has changed is because we're not tracking changes in this scene. So the first thing we're going to need to do is make ourselves a new scene or level. I'm going to use those words interchangeably, I'm afraid, but you'll see them used interchangeably. It says scene here, but you'll also get, so it says level here, but you'll also get the concept of the word scene. So ignore any source tree updates for me for the moment. So let's do that. Let's go ahead and make a new level. There it is. I'm going to go for default. I want the sky map and that piece of ground texture. I'm going to not bother saving any changes to the minimum default, and I'm going to be here. And then as we've done before, I'm going to save this, save as. Now, this is where I get to give it a name. So my map, we could call it my map, that's fine, or new map will be fine. So new map is a reasonable name. That's the name of the level. There it is, new map, when I hover over it. And now that that's been saved, of course, you need to go to your project settings, maps and modes, and make sure that this new map is the one that both the game would start with and the editor would start with. So make those changes, project settings, maps and modes. And then next time you load this, we'll be back here, which is cool. Now, if I just exit Unreal to be sure of the changes, and then look in source tree, if I wait a minute, we got some uncommitted changes, and it's found the default engine.ini file, a couple of changes in it. Look, it's detected them for us. It's changed the editor and gained default map, which is what we did in the interface. But also we've got this binary file that we can't see the details of called newmap.umap. So that's what starts to happen when we make changes, which is pretty cool. So let's dive back into our project and just give you a quick tour of the editor, and then I'm going to leave you to play around. Now, before I start the tour of the editor, look here. Inside the viewport, you've got a little question mark. Click on it. It's going to give you a crib sheet. So it'll tell you that left mouse button plus drag up and down will actually trolley around. It's a bit weird. It's like pushing a supermarket trolley, but it'll tell you that. It'll tell you that you can rotate left and right like this, but with the left mouse button, etc. So just go through those. Try using the right mouse button, the left mouse button, and various things, okay? The mouse wheel will roll you in and out. Also, you can hold down the right mouse button and use WSAD, also Q and E, first-person controls. When you're holding down the right mouse button, you can change the speed. If I roll my mouse wheel down, I'm doing that now, then I've set the speed to very low, and as I roll the mouse wheel up, the speed increases, okay? So bear in mind what current speed you've got set, and I want you to get really comfortable with just moving around. And the other thing is just pop a prop from the content browser. So find your content browser, go to Starter Content. If you're right at the beginning of the content browser, you might need to get a second pane up in here. Click Content, Starter Content, Props, and eventually you'll find the chair, for example. Let's put the chair in the scene. You'll notice it just sticks to the floor. Let me show you one more movement mode. So we can, yes, sure, we can move around the chair with all of these controls I've just shown you at various different speeds. But this is a Maya style control now. If you click on it, click F to focus that, and then if you hold down the Alt key, the left Alt key is what I'm holding down now. As I move the left mouse button now, look, I'm rotating around this object. And I can go in and out either by holding down the right mouse button, that's the smoothest way, or by using the mouse wheel, which can be jerky and also has a kind of minimum distance. So right mouse button, hold down, forward and back. Left mouse button, round. Now all of this time I'm holding down the Alt key, that's the key here. You could do the same on the floor. You could F to focus on the floor after you've selected it. Hold down the Alt key, holding down Alt now. Left mouse button rotates around, right mouse button moves in and out. That's a fantastic way of focusing on a given object and then rotating around and seeing it from all angles. Okay, so there's your crib sheet again in the viewport there. What I want you to do now is go and have a good play with the viewport and get comfortable just placing a few objects on this single ground tile and just maybe build up a really simple little scene here with a chair and a bench and whatever. And I'll see you when you come back. Cool, welcome back. So to bring things into the scene, just show you a few more tricks. You could say drag a rock in here. The blue arrow constrains in this plane, the green arrow constrains in that plane. One more thing is that you can constrain in 2 planes at a time by clicking. It's very tricky, but right in here, if I click there in the little intersection of the two, then I'm now moving it in this ground plane, which is handy. There are also some other things to tell you, which is that up here you've got snapping tools. For instance, here, this sets the position even snap value. It's set to 10 at the moment, which is 10 units, which in Unreal by default is 10 centimeters. So every time I move the chair, it snaps to 10 centimeters. If I was to increase that to 100, it would jump up a meter. So be aware of that snap value for both the position, the rotation, but also the scale. You can have a snap value for scale. Now you can switch between these tools with W, E and R keys. So it's worth keeping your left hand in that position. When you're scaling, you can scale on all axes by dragging the middle cube, and then you can scale on a given axis, making a very strange looking chair, by using any of these boxes there. Okay? So it's pretty consistent and simple to use actually. I quite like it. That's the way that you move things around in the editor. You have X, Y, and Z. X and Y are in the ground plane. Z is up and down. You have a whole bunch of other options you should be aware that are there. You can click here to see things like the frames per second and various other things, that little down arrow at the top left of the viewport. You can choose perspective or top, bottom, left, right, etc. So you can get these kind of wireframe views. At the top right, you have something that shows you a 4-way viewport, which lets you see simultaneously 4 different viewpoints. So I'm seeing the chair and the rock from above here, and then I'm from the left on one side and above and the front, you see? Pretty cool. And this can be really handy when, say, positioning things. And then you can get back out by just maximizing any of the viewports, say the 3D viewport. So there's that, your snap options. You've got here, notice the shortcuts, Alt, 2, 3, 4, etc. let you change into like wireframe and other views that we'll be using a lot more through the course. Lighting complexity, pretty cool stuff. You generally want to leave it in lit unless we have any particular reason not to. And then the show menu lets you turn off various things, which are all very complex and going to be fantastic fun unveiling how all this works. But look, that's the essence of creating yourself a new level and putting some of the basic things in it and moving around in it and focusing on things and moving them. So you have the very basics. So congratulations with that. It just remains to close this, saving the map as we go. I'm going to go and grab hold of the name of this video. We'll just make it up as I go. So here we go, uncommitted changes. We have the map is what we've worked on and the engine file. I'm going to stage those like this. It's BE06 is the name of my video for Building Escape 06. BE06, getting to know Unreal's editor. Okay? Don't worry about pushing things to the internet at the moment unless you know what you're doing, and then just commit that. Great. So we've now got a snapshot, and if I wanted to, I could go back to where we were before, but let's not do any of that for now because we haven't really made much progress. Anyway, I'll see you in the next video.